impossible for me not to fall in love with you.
Hi and welcome. This is Tony Colón live from Sunny Isles Beach, and you're listening to the We Love Sunny Isles Beach podcast. Hello, friends. I'm your host, Tony Colón, and this podcast is dedicated to help you better understand the who's, the what's, the when's, the where's, and the why's of this beautiful city in Florida called Sunny Isles Beach. We Love Sunny Isles Beach is a private initiative that promotes discussions on issues that are important for residents and all kinds of ideas to improve our city. We envision it to be the voice of all those who work and or live in our city and pursue the best for our residents. The place where ideas to improve SIB are discussed equally and without filter. If you want to have part in transforming Sunny Isles Beach into one of the best cities in the United States, or simply stay informed about where the city is going, you definitely have a place here. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter for the latest news and updates at We Love Sunny Isles Beach. Let's dive in. You know, folks, a podcast has many purposes, but this one is to entertain new ideas and inform you, the citizens of Sunny Isles Beach. As a listener, I want to give you the opportunity to engage with us, talk about current events, hopefully even educate you by bringing on some real experts who know the ins and outs of our city. Recently, I captured a very interesting quote from a superstar developer by the name of Edgardo de Fortuna of Fortuna Developments, a man who is a major player in the growth of our city. And he said this: developers sell dreams before they become a reality. That really resonated with me because that should be the mantra of every city's administration whose vision, really, for the future is growth. Now, think about that for a second. You can't have a city sit back and wish for the good old days, then expect something great to happen. Sunny Isles Beach, back in the good old days, was this sleepy little motel community that was the playground of ideas for developers to outdo one another and see who could come up with the best, the latest catchy gimmick to attract more guests. Today, it's still the playground, only now the stakes are higher. Neon signs, statues of horses and carriage, large statues of pelicans dressed up in a navy attire, even camels with nomads sitting in the front of a motel. Although I think you can still see one of those for yourself. These are relics of the past. Nevertheless, the quest for the biggest and finest beachfront properties still exist. But here's the thing. We know that we now have a city that is half prepared for the next 25 to 30 years. Just across the busy street of Collins Avenue, there are some buildings that have seen their best days gone by. There is a disconnect here, folks. The new and the old. The city says we can't help that. There's no more land. The monopoly board is full. Well, that's not a good enough answer. You see, this city, for all intents and purposes, has reached the halfway point of completion. And we need to understand that there is land still available. They just don't see it. When I was a Marine in the Marine Corps, I went to the jungles of Subic Bay in the Philippines for survival training. Myself and 9 other Marines were given 1-pound bag of rice, dropped off and told good luck. At the edge of this jungle, the tree line was dense, and from it came what looked like 3, maybe 4, 5-foot tall children. But as I walked closer, I realized these were grown men with nothing more than loincloths and walking sticks. These were the inhabitants of the jungle, which are called negritos, amazing people, a pygmy tribe that the military contracted with to show us how to survive in the jungle should our aircraft be shot down. This 3-week adventure taught me more about how to look at the impossible as an opportunity to find what's staring you right in the face. During the course of that training, though, I will tell you that I'll never forget the day we were trekking through the jungle. It was hot, humid, as you can imagine. Following this little man, he turned to us and asked, "Are any of you thirsty?" Well, it had been about over 2 hours without anything to drink. Our canteens were empty, and there wasn't enough water or a source of water anywhere in sight. Of course, we all said yes. He smiled at us and held a long bolo knife up in the air and said, "Everything you need in this jungle is right in front of you. You just need to know where to look." Those words would forever change the way I saw impossible situations become possible. He pointed his bolo knife at one of the Marines, I remember, and said, "Come closer." He said, "You see this tree?" Then he grabbed a lower hanging branch, bent like an elbow, sort of. He carefully cut above and below the elbow at that branch, and then he gently brought it down and told the Marine to tilt his head and open his mouth. Well, we all watched in amusement as this Negrito poured about 2 pints of water from the inside of that branch into the mouth of the Marine. We all laughed and learned a valuable lesson that day. Look, this matters, and this matters because everything you need in life is right in front of you. You just need to know where to look. And this lesson, my friends, can also be applied here. We need to find that space, that elbow in our city that can provide us with the land we need to help us move forward. The elbow in our city, I can tell you, are the parks. But wait, you may be thinking, are you sure? Are you saying that we should take away our parks to make space for more buildings? Well, not exactly. What I'm saying is this. I'm saying let's relocate the park, these particular parks, and free up some 17 acres of prime land. And where would we relocate these parks, you say? I'm so glad you ask. It's called a Sky Garden Bridge. It's a floating bridge that goes from the north end of Sunny Isles Beach to the south end. All the parks below at the ground level would be transplanted to a single 1.78 mile floating park 70 feet above Collins Avenue. This bridge type park would solve a slew of problems. At the same time, create an enormous amount of revenue for the city, and the obvious problems would be solved. There are so many different things, that land could be used for. By freeing it up, the land can continue to be used for building new homes, separate pedestrians from traffic, allow for pedestrians to cross over Collins Avenue with an above-arched walkway connected to the bridge underside. Traffic can go unimpeded by pedestrians crossing Collins Avenue, reduce the heat in the city by as much as 6%. And how would we support that tourism traffic, you might ask? Look around you. Look around you. The town center park would now be sitting above Collins Avenue. And this is now freed up space needed to provide a paid parking garage for an additional 500 spaces. The tow truck era would be next to nothing. Heritage Park would also be located above Collins Avenue, freeing the city to sell or to lease the land for a new project or development. Samson Park would be the new entrance to the Skybridge Park, another property available to the city for a future museum, a future project not even known or imagined. Tourists and residents alike could enjoy the city from above without the hustle and bustle of the traffic below, and that's called quality of life. I can tell you that a park like this would bring the 4 pillars of success to a city waiting to spring forward into the future. It gives us the quality of life, pedestrian safety, traffic flow, and tourism. And some might say, well, it would be impossible to do. Impossible, FDOT, the Florida Department of Transportation, doesn't think so. They just approved the go ahead for a similar project in Miami, and it's called the Fountain Bridge. Look it up for yourselves. $880 million to provide for cars, when our bridge provides for pedestrians. Here's my last thought on the idea. The new Fountain Bridge, if it's completed to plan, will have a park built below, and it's for the public's enjoyment. Who do you think is going to own that park after dark? If you guessed the homeless, you'd be correct. I don't have a crystal ball, but if we put a park above, who do you think will own it then? The guest? Residents of Sunny Isles Beach? Straight through the morning light because there's no access from below after hours. Folks, this is a no-brainer. I can just sit with a city half done. We can do that. Or we can finish what Mayor Sampson began 25 years ago. A city for the future. Now, there are other few topics that I'd like to skim over and need your feedback on. One of them is Dade County's laws and dogs. I don't know if you know this, but there is a BSL legislation that either regulates or bans certain breeds completely in the hopes of reducing dog attacks in Miami, of which we are part of, my friends. The 24-year-old ordinance outlawing pit bull type dogs in Miami-Dade County is still in full force. So, why is it that we're still seeing this uptick of condo owners permitting tenants and private condo owners from keeping these dogs? I'll be the first to tell you that I'm a big dog lover, but when it puts my children and yours alongside residents in danger of being attacked or bitten, it's not acceptable. Just not acceptable. A few days back, I went to meet a friend of mine at our community dog park. Another resident then brought in 2 full-grown Staffordshire Terriers, also known as pit bulls, to the park and let them off the leash. As a result, they saw my friend's dog, an 8-month-old puppy, and chased it all the way from one end of the park to the other. As a result, I told my friend that I could no longer stay, and I advised him he should do the same. Unfortunately, he decided to stick around and watch his dog being chased to the point of exhaustion. I could no longer run from these dogs, and neither could anyone else. The owner of the Staffordshire Pit Bulls came running up to leash his dogs, and just in the nick of time. This is one of those fortunate stories where a dog wasn't killed or hurt. Okay, and so the obvious question is, why are they even in our community? The bottom line is, folks, is that the condo management of these buildings and other are just looking the other way and selling or renting condos to owners or renters of these dogs. Remember, this law has been on the books for over 24 years. And here's the kicker. It's a $10,000 fine for breaking that law. Yes, there are exceptions, but that exception comes with a $50,000 mandatory insurance policy attached to that dog. Yet, the city says, hey, it's animal control's problem. Yes, that's true, but it won't be when someone in the city gets bit or mauled. This is when everyone from the owner of the dog to the owner of the condo to the mayor of the city starts pointing fingers and begins the old CYA, cover your ass. You want that specific dog on the list? If that's what you really want, that's great. Get a house with a 9-foot fence. Don't, I repeat, don't bring it here into a condo with 300 plus people living in close quarters. It's an accident waiting to happen. The city needs to own this problem. If the county dog catchers, condo owners, or the dog owners don't, and they need to take care of it. because someone is going to sue the city. Ultimately, someone is going to get enough traction on a lawsuit that the city would do something about it. All they have to do is contact the condo owners and say, hey, do you have any pit bulls in your condominium? It's as simple as that. Okay, so let's just leave that right there. Thanks everyone for being here with me on the podcast today. I want to thank the sponsors of our show, Lights Tutoring Center International, teaching your kids today what they need to know tomorrow, and Golden Podcast Studios, a turnkey service for your podcasting needs. Please help us out by hitting the subscribe and like button, and check us out on Twitter and Instagram at We Love Sunny Isles Beach. This is your host, Tony Colón. Be safe, be well, and remember, knowledge is power.
Oh, it's impossible for me not to fall in love with you, baby.